Welcome to Micka on Influence, your go-to podcast for bold conversations and impactful insight into influencer marketing, content creation, and the ever-growing creator economy. Every week, we are diving deep into real stories, smart strategies, and game-changing moves, shaping this dynamic space. From top creators to brand strategists, CMOs to media planners, we bring you raw, actionable insight straight from the front lines. This is where influence meets intention. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to Micka on Influence. It's the podcast that's here to educate you of the world of marketing, media, and influencing. Every episode I bring you like-minded individuals, people that are knowledgeable in their fields, and today is no different. Today I'm joined by Pieter Groenewald from theSalt and Denelle Morais from BestMed. So Denelle, let's start with you. You are the communications and marketing manager for BestMed. Tell me about your journey.
That's right, Micka. Thank you very much for having me on this episode, and well done to you. So my journey in marketing actually began with a very, one would say, unhealthy obsession with books. So this translated into wanting to explore the journey of a book and then studying publishing after doing my honors in communication. The best kind of slight pivot was a role in public relations. So fast forward 20 years, it has been an absolute blessing that I've been part of the exploration of every nook and cranny of marketing across engineering, defense, and now the healthcare environment, where my heart is with BestMed. So the fact that I'm at the heart of a brand that is literally in the business of saving lives is simply divine. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm sure working in the healthcare industry comes with a unique set of challenges. Talk to me about that. What kind of challenges does the medical aid industry face compared to other sectors?
Thank you, Micka. I always quip that medical aid isn't like buying a funky pair of sneakers. You know, where you buy that sneaker that you had your eye on, and then you take a cute pic and post it online, right? You tell all your friends about it. So it's not a sexy, exciting product. So that in itself brings some challenges. The first to consider is that it's about educating, not necessarily selling. The selling will happen because of the quality of your products and service. So in most sectors, I believe that we know that marketing is about desire. In the medical aid industry, it's about education and clarity. We're trying to get people to our members to understand complicated terms, like I'm going to start speaking gibberish, but it's co-payments and PMBs and waiting periods. So that's part of the journey. And we exist in a system that's already, potentially filled with a mistrust and some areas that it's our job to demystify. Another one that's really close to my heart as well is that we have a diverse market, and they have such deep inequalities in our country. So if we consider that landscape, it's not one size fits all, right? So we're speaking to vastly different socioeconomic groups and level of health awareness, and even linguistic and cultural context. So often in the same campaign. So sometimes there's a silent guilt we carry around as professionals in this space, knowing that what you're offering, no matter how affordable you position it, is still out of reach for so many. So considering all of that, low trust, high stakes, we have our jobs are cut out for us to operate in an environment where brand trust isn't just a nice to have, it's everything.
Yeah. Wow. Well put. Thank you so much, Denelle. Pieter, welcome to you. You are a co-founder of theSalt. Tell me what inspired you to find theSalt and how has the platform grown over the past few years?
Yeah, as I've always been in marketing, possibly this year is 25 years. So I've been in the space for a long time, and my background is being an accountant. And for the first 10 years of my life, I always felt like it's typically that half the advertising is working and half not. We just don't know which half is working. And then around about 2010, when social media came to the fore, we realized that people's voices will become very valuable. We never thought at the time it will grow to the extent it's grown today, but we knew then, and it's today true, that word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising. But there wasn't a mechanic to scale it. And that's when we invested into technology and we started building a database. And in the early years, it was really tough because influencer marketing wasn't really established. And now you're trying to sell nano influencers. I mean, no marketer is waking up in the morning, I want to deal with nano influencers.
Yeah.
But then I think after COVID, the whole space just exploded. And it's great. And today we've got a database of side hustlers, but people that don't mind speaking about brands that they love. Our database is about 560,000 people strong. So it's grown exponentially over the years. And a fascinating fact is that a bulk of the people that's on our platform has been referred by someone on the platform to the platform. So it just shows you, or it illustrates the power of word of mouth. And then what Denelle was saying earlier on is, I think trust is becoming the holy grail. Is how, in a world where there's not a lot of trust, how can we leverage the trust of people more on behalf of brands? So it's a very exciting space. I can talk for hours, but for now, that's it.
I can tell that you're very passionate about what you do. Now, we've seen the shift in nano influencing versus customer generated content. Talk to me about that shift. What exactly drove that?
Yeah, I think this is influencer marketing is mostly that channel where you use people that's got access to audiences to do the talking on your behalf. But I think even if you go to smaller influencers, your authenticity levels go slightly up. But I think where the difference is with customer-generated content is where you're using an actual customer to do the talking on behalf of a brand. So this is not someone that gets paid to say good things. You're saying first become a user of the brand. In the case with like when we're dealing with BestMed, people that pay every month premiums started doing the talking on behalf of the brand. And I think that's the power of customer generated content because it gives you that 100% authenticity. I'm not telling you to do something because I get paid. I've actually paid this brand and support this brand and love this brand. And you've now activated me to do the talking on your behalf. I think that's a difference. And that's why we see a growing trend in customer-generated content.
Wow. Denelle, talk to me about the partnership between BestMed and theSalt. What was the initial goal at the beginning for this partnership to work? What did you guys set out?
Thank you, Micka. I think that it's an apt name because the salt has really been the salt of our world right now. And I think that as a medical aid with over 60 years of experience, we turned 61, the importance of evolving with our members' needs and staying relevant and meeting our members where they are. We can't fix tomorrow's problems with yesterday's tools. And Pieter and the team from theSalt brought a nice tool for us to use. And when digital engagement surged, and I think traditional channels are being disrupted, it still is. And going quiet, especially during a time like Pieter mentioned, COVID, was never an option because we understand that continuity and having your brand be present, that's the thing that builds trust. So we embraced it and we stay true to our north, which is to keep our message just human and relatable.
Okay. And then Just to follow up, was there specific pain points at BestMed, like customer engagement or brand visibility, that this collaboration really aimed to tackle?
For sure, Micka, we needed to know where we wanted to end up with, and then to know which road to take, right? So in terms of the pain points, back to the earlier point about not buying medical aid and then showing it off, you don't get excited about interacting with your medical aid, right? Typically. So understanding that that's the context and that members have an interaction with their medical aid when they're unwell, when they're frustrated. So it's quite an emotion-filled and emotion-fueled environment. So the idea was to say, let's try and, let's continue to build more meaningful touch points outside of those frustrated, emotion-filled moments. So when people have clarity of mind, so that they're able to, absorb the message and then make the best decision for their audience.
Okay. Peter, I think you already described nano influencing versus customer generated content. So just to follow up, how do they stack up against traditional influencer marketing regarding trust and then, of course, engagement as well?
Yeah, I think as both's got a role to play. And what we must acknowledge is that a lot of money is flowing out of traditional media into the influencer world or the creator economy. And it's not an either or. I just think brands are investing more and more money into this space. As you've got brands like Unilever now saying that 50% of their content budget is going into creator content. WPP has come out and say that more than 50% of content budget is now going into the creator economy. So I don't think it's an either or. I think influencers are great when you want to connect with larger communities, when you want to have a brand positioning in a certain way, then it's great to leverage those individuals. But I think there's now what theSalt offers is that testimonial and that review and that endorsement type content. So if you think, and I use this example often, if you think about Airbnb, a booking on Airbnb, none of us will make a booking unless we go and check out the reviews. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where customer generated content comes in, and that endorsement help people to, I was wondering about this. I hear the brand saying all these things about themselves, but here's someone like me now, which I relate to, sharing their experience on it. High trust in that. And that trust is now being leveraged. So I think that's the space it plays in, and it allows you for an always on type of activity as well, because what you'll find with the bigger influencers, brands come in and then they disappear again because their budgets run out. But these customer generated content is very cost effective, which means you can also invest aggressively in the distribution of it. And when I talk about distribution, it means that content that Micka has generated and shared with her audience of 500 people on Facebook, I can now take that and share it to 20,000 people on Facebook that relates to Micka. They don't know you, but they trust you more than what they trust the brand. So now you've got a scaling opportunity, which you can invest in because you've got extra budget because the content is so affordable. And then I think as the content also comes with usage rights. So clever brands then convert that content into branded content, which they can use further and just put it into your content stack. So it also helps you in that regard. So I think there's a lot of benefits of it, but it clearly depends on your strategy. Traditional influencers, you'll never hear me talk down on them because I think they've got a phenomenal role to play, but so does customer endorsement and testimonial type content as well.
Yeah. Denelle, you guys made use of customer generated content and you used very specific tactics. Talk to me about exactly what you guys did to activate your customers. What happened behind the scenes? We want the tea.
Thank you, Micka. It's so exciting to talk about this, right? Because we can see it making a difference. So we decided to leverage customer-generated content just to enhance our brand voice. You trust someone around the braai more than you trust an ad, right? What do we do with ads? We skip them. So for us, it's a case of, but for us specifically, in terms of the tactics, it's a case of quality over quantity. So the engagement we see isn't just about likes, it's real conversations. So comments will often reference our benefits and then for example, we're excited about our terrific tempo wellbeing journey. So these conversations continue offline. And then, we talk about brand visibility, but it's about the intentional visibility. So we asked, where can we show up in ways that matter? And partnerships and community-based activations with our Unjani clinics and the sponsoring of netball kits, and more recently our DSTV Netball School Challenge play a role, because it also gives ways in which our community of influencers to interact with the community around them, the physical community around them. We are very mindful of the fact that there is an emotional distance, right? So there's this quiet but persistent disconnect between the value that people expect from medical aid sometimes and what they feel that they're getting. So sometimes this gap wasn't about the benefits at all, but about empathy. And so understanding this, we just leaned into storytelling and softer content and creating those listening spaces. This approach has allowed us to reach our audiences that we might not have access to otherwise. And what I love about this is that our approach is unique with regards to nano influencers, because these are actual members, right? So it ties directly into our personally yours positioning. Real people, real stories, real connections.
If I can add something here, is I think what the team at BestMed really understands well is not to try and tell their customers what stories they must tell. Because I think that, in a sense, will take away some of that high levels of authenticity that you enjoy. Yeah. And they actually give people quite a bit of freedom in the content that they can create to share their own stories on why specifically they've joined BestMed and how long they've been with him and what experiences they had. Because I think it's one of those things, you pay for it on a monthly basis, and touch wood, you don't use it a lot, because if you use it a lot, it can be dangerous. So I think that for me is a standout thing, is that they allowed these individuals to share their real stories, and it's fascinating what comes out. And then it's not a topic that when we meet, we drink coffee, we talk about medical aid. But what's interesting for me is when you take that conversation and you bring it alive on your social feed, how many people will respond with a WhatsApp, and how many people will bump into you and say, listen, I'm considering changing. How long have you been? What do you like? And it takes that word of mouth conversation into account as well, purely by elevating the conversation out of a social circle more onto a social media channel. And yeah, that's been an amazing experience from our side to see a brand saying, I tap into the authenticity of these guys, but I don't want to reduce the authenticity by over scripting to them what my brand message is. I mean, as they're a customer of the brand, they've been there for years, let them do the talking about why they are such a fan of the brand.
Marketers want a crowd of real fans of your brand shouting your praises. theSalt has South Africa's biggest nano-influencer community, over 500,000 subscribers strong, turning authentic stories into results you can measure. Think word of mouth, but supercharged, with trusted voices and real-time data to back it up. Our creators don't just spread the word, they build credibility and loyalty that sticks. Ready to tap into SA's largest network of brand champs? Reach out to the efficient team at thesalt.co.za and book your next campaign. Then sit back and watch your reputation and sales take off. Okay, I like that. Let's talk metrics. All right, what metrics do you both use to measure the success of the specific approach you've taken? Let's start with you, Pieter.
I think it's very important for us in this space. Like, I believe that customer generated content is a strong return on investment channel, and hence you need to prove your return on investment. So and everything is measurable. So what's very important here for us is, as our messaging is traveling, how many people do we get coming to BestMed to say, let me check out your offering? And there's a mechanism where we direct them to if they're interested. And then Denelle's team take over, and then we get feedback in terms of, how many successful conversions were there. So ultimately we can determine the return on investment of this particular channel. Like I say, it's a channel that allows for aggressive distribution on the back of affordable content. So you should do reasonably well or better than most other channels in this space. And also, it comes with the content. So every participant brings the content and they bring the audience to the mix. So yeah, then we've got dashboard links, which we share with the team. And I know influencer marketing for a long time been, if a marketer sticks out their neck and say, I want to invest there, you avoid the corridors, because if you bump into a financial guy or the MD, how's that thing working? How's that? Because they're normally a little bit older and they don't relate to the social media era. Now I'm saying to Denelle, here's the link, just share it with the finance guy and the MD. Let them check for themselves how the results are going on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, there is a measurement tactic in place.
And then, Denelle, was there any increased customer loyalty and organic reach making use of this specific strategy?
Thanks, Micka, and thanks to Pieter for taking care of the technical KPIs. One of the things that we noticed, and coincidentally or not, but overlapping with our partnership with or our influencer campaign, is that over the past 4 years, BestMed has been acknowledged for different accolades like customer satisfaction and speed of complaint resolution, and industry award for providing access to quality healthcare. And the positive sentiment, because we do social listening in the media, the positive sentiment expressed about the brand has increased. So apart from the nice things that I can put on my report to the board that Pieter mentioned, it's about all of the other benefits, the implicit benefit that we've gotten from the campaign. So definitely it's been very, very rewarding.
Then, Denelle, also talk to me about striking that balance between compliance and creative freedom when it comes to implementing these campaigns or making use of customer-generated content. What is that balance? And, well, how can brands strike a balance, actually, between compliance and creative freedom using these strategies?
Thank you, Micka. I love the fact that we have to, given our compliance and given the regulations, we have to be even more creative, right? So the members' premiums, their monthly subscriptions is not for our. We're not a business. The members' money is their money. So we use their money to pay claims, right? So trust, first of all, comes with understanding. So we need to, understanding by the member, the audience, we need to, as behind the brand, seek first to dispel those myths, those misconceptions. And just, I think, in terms of the advice, just remain curious about your audience. These moments that are, we feel like we have an intuitive brand knowledge, so brought through years of experience and skill, but it's important to just remain curious, because I love the little aha moments, the little surprise moments. And then once you take that feedback and position it in terms of your marketing communication, and your community knows that you're seen and heard, that they're seen and heard, they become more authentic storytellers, right? So it's not about using the customer stories as content, but just creating a space for their voice to lead. I think that that's what it is, just from my perspective and experience. Thank you.
Fantastic. Pieter, can you share a specific feature that theSalt made a big difference in activating BestMed's customers?
Yeah, so we've been doing business for such a extended period of time that there's been amazing stories. I mean, as one of the participants actually participated in a corporate video that was generated. Someone with very little experience of being in front of the camera, but BestMed then decided, listen, one of the ways we can do this is convert it to sort of a brand property. So that's great, and there's many others. I mean, it's very much around the results as well. We're very proud on what we achieved there. But I think going forward, something happens on the 11th of July that's going to make customer conversations more important. I don't know between the two of you, but what role AI is starting to play in terms of where you don't go and search a lot of websites, but you ask AI for advice. And on the 11th of July, AI is now start listening to social media conversations as well. So you can imagine, like in the case of BestMed, you raise a query, what's the best medical aid in South Africa? And then they go and scrape the websites and they'll come back. But what people are saying about the medical aids is becoming more and more important. And that will help you with the outcome of AI answers, because AI is looking for truth, and the truth is in people conversations. So I think as we've had an exercise recently where we look at our own business, where it comes up from an AI search perspective, and it didn't feature. And then we went and we seeded a couple of content pieces by what you can call users, and 30 days later, we came out on the AI search as a top recommendation because of the validation that's been put in people conversations. So I think as brands and as CMOs, this is not a trend that we can ignore, because as users start using AI more, you want to feature in those AI solutions. And not only in search, like in the old days, you bought your way up in the search feed, so, but that's not possible on AI. So I think those are things to keep a lookout for and see how that can make a difference for your business from an AI result perspective.
Okay. And also for you, Pieter, what's next for BestMed and theSalt in terms of strategy? Are there any exciting new developments?
I think what we do is obviously with our clients and our partners, we're always, when there's new things coming out, we share with them. And we've got like a twice a year check-in and say this and this is available. And then the brands can normally consider that in the next budget cycle. But it's a fast-moving space, so there's a lot of things happening. And we obviously expanded our business into those fields where we can see, you need to own almost the result. So there's lots of, I can see the space still growing a lot, and I can see brands leaning possibly more heavier into consumers having the conversation about them instead of themselves.
All right. And then Denelle, to wrap up, what are you most excited about when it comes to the world of marketing and with the BestMed brand specifically?
Thank you, Micka. So if I can also answer your last question that you posed to Pieter, what's on the horizon? I think, are there any exciting developments? So the short answer is always yes. And the point is that this platform is so well suited to the brand, but also, sometimes you need a human touch. Peter mentioned AI. And let's face it, AI gives us so much access, right? And so much opportunity. There are times that it can be, dehumanizing or just feel generic. So it's wonderful to see how society, especially ours, tries to balance out that effect by choosing platforms that remain humane, and especially with the nano influencers. So this medium utilizes technology well, but it also provides a platform for the human voice. So I love that. And in terms of what I'm excited about, the fact we did a recent survey, right? And it said that it was a surprisingly larger amount than a previous survey, but more than 90% of BestMed members are willing to actively recommend us, which means that this whole influencer and campaign and ambassadorship is strong. So the idea is to just open up more channels for more voices to be heard about our medical aid.
Are there any last final thoughts from both of you? Actually, any key takeaways that you would like to share with our viewers and our listeners?
Thanks, Micka. I think from my side, the fact that that the viewers and listeners are listening to your podcast means that they're already well informed. So that's a good base. I think in general, one of the themes of this conversation is that the more informed people are, the more informed members are, the more confidently they engage with your brand. And we want people to ask the questions, to challenge, to understand. And one of the things that we do as well with our group of influencers is just to have a workshop with them where it's not just about explaining more regarding the benefits, but also some of my marketing team meets the influencers in a workshop style session. And we really use the opportunity to extend what the brand personality is, what the atmosphere is of the brand. So in terms of just our influencers, our members are naturally an extension of the brand. So I like that. There are multiple narratives all the time, multiple directions and opinions that one can take. And the beauty of it is that you can choose one, choose 5, choose them all. But the message is, start today. Don't let this lofty goal of perfection stop your progress. And it says progress over perfection and people over polish. I think that's my the message. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Pieter, any final takes from your side?
No, I think it's an exciting space. The numbers, it's a $269 billion industry at this stage, which by 2030 will be over $550 billion. A lot of money is coming into the space for influencer platforms. More budget is flowing this way. And the reason for it is because the audience has moved to social. So it's an exciting space, and my advice is, if you haven't explored the space yet, you should do it sooner than later, because it's not a nice to have anymore. It's a must have kind of channel, and there's many ways to explore and test it and then scale it. So it's not even a huge risk for you as a brand. You can test it on a smaller scale and then scale it from there once you've seen success.
Fantastic. Thank you both for joining me. And to you at home, viewers, listeners watching this right now, thank you for tuning in. Do like, subscribe, and follow. And if you've got any comments, I want to hear all about it. How often do you trust those reviews that you read on anything? I know I trust it with my whole heart. I go look at every single review. And tell me what you took from this conversation. That's it from Micka on Influence this episode. Do join me next time. Bye. That's a wrap on this episode of Micka on Influence. I hope you're walking away with fresh insights and new ideas to level up your influencing game. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, follow and like, and also share with your network. Join the community obsessed with mastering the art and science of influence, because in this space, we don't just follow trends, we create them. Until next time, keep creating, keep connecting, and stay influential.